So, which is the best, guys? The Kh-38 or the Kh-59, the new TV-guided missile coming for the Su-30 Mk2 and probably two other flankers as well in the Russian tech tree. This is a talk that has been going on since the first day of the dev server, and I really wanted to actually test both missiles and really try to figure out which will be the best, okay? Because they have a very different concept in mind. So the Kh-59, as you see over here, you can clearly see over here, right? It has a first stage of a burner, and then this part will basically be detached from the aircraft, and it will start to guide itself using the turbofan engine, okay? So it's a complete different design compared to the Kh-38, right? If you actually take a look on the Kh-38, you will notice that the missile is basically just a missile, right? It doesn't have anything that it's different about it. It is just a very long burner with normal rocket fuel, and yeah, it's just a normal missile, right? So what are the goods and bads about these missiles? Let's take a look first on the stat card, and then afterwards we're gonna actually take a look on the on an actual triad, like a combat test, I would say, right? So the first thing, guys, is that we need to notice that what is, I think, the size of the missile and the speed and range. These are the three things that I think will make this missile be amazing or not. So as you can see over here, we have a TN2 equivalent. Of course, everything's subject to change because the Kh-59, I still believe it is a much weaker than it actually should be with the warhead. But still, right now, 152 TNT equivalent with the Kh-38. And the Kh-39, obviously, you have the, where is it? The 190 kilograms. So you can already see that the Kh-59 has a very different concept in mind because it is a missile that will be larger. It weighs 930 kilograms, while the Kh-38 is around 500. So you can already see that the missile is very, very different from the normal Kh-38, right? What does that change with the size and weight and everything? Well, pretty much the main thing will be range over here, guys. So this thing will be larger. It will have more of a big boom, okay? And also, basically more range. That's the idea, right? So you can see that it has, more TNT equivalent. It is heavier, but it does have 600 seconds of a missile guidance time and 120 kilometers of range, while the Kh-38 has 200 seconds of a missile guidance time with only, quote unquote, 70 kilometers of range. Okay, so you can see that the missile is a lot lighter, it has a lot less range, and also it guides itself for a lot less time, okay? But there is one particular thing that changes it up a lot here, is the speed. So the Kh-38 has a 2.2 Mach max speed, while the Su-30, the Kh-59, has a 0.9 Mach. So this is a subsonic missile, this one, while the Kh-38 is a supersonic missile. Okay, that would be kind of the main idea of the difference in a real match. The speed of the missile will make a lot of difference because, let's be honest, guys, at least in theory, everything else doesn't matter too much. Yes, it has a bigger TNT equivalent, but really, does it matter? Like, unless you're being imprecise, it doesn't matter. 120 kilometers, yeah, it's great to have 120 kilometers, but 70 kilometers isn't enough. So, yeah, 600 seconds of missile guidance time is great, but isn't 200 already enough? So, at the end of the day, all the advantages that the Kh-59 has, they are way better than the Kh-38, but in a real life, like real game, I would say, situation, in theory on the very least, they don't make any difference. Because at the end of the day, speed will dictate if that missile is intercepted or not. And that's the thing, guys. A 2.2 Mach speed missile is going to be much harder to intercept by an AA system than a 0.9 missile Mach missile that is a lot larger. Another little thing is that this thing has a TV guidance while the Kh-38 has IR guidance. So a little bit of a better thing, especially because right now we do not have a pod that I think it will be added because they added the Kh-29L over here. So I would assume that they will add some kind of pod over here for us to actually look into. But in a general perspective, the Kh-38 in real combat scenarios, it will be better. So let's do some like proper tests over here. In the test flight, of course, we're gonna try to basically check like some things, okay? So let's try to do the first one, which will be basically the speed of the missile, okay? So we're gonna go to a certain distance over here and then fire the missile at around 20 kilometers, and you will see the difference in time that it takes for the Kh-38 to get to the target compared to the Kh-59. So first, let's try to launch this at 20 kilometers over here. I just launched it around 1,000 kilometers per hour, you know, at 20 kilometers. And you will see that the missile, first of all, very, very easy to at first see the missile because it has a longer burn time. But it doesn't have the longer burn, which means that it will be very hard to see these missiles, just like with the Kh-59 that you're gonna see. And as you see, it lofts very much, so the flight path of the missile is completely different. So he tries to basically, you know, it tries to just head like climb and then attack the target from above, right? And as you can see, it hit it. Now let's try with the Kh-59. So now we fired the Kh-59. And you will see at first, it has the burner, but shortly afterwards, it goes to the turbofan. So it's a bit different. The Kh-38 has a longer burner. And look at the flight path. Completely different as well. And that's where I think maybe the Kh-59 will have a chance of actually being pretty great, because it flies lower than the Kh-38. The Kh-38 just flies very high and tries to loft, while the Kh-59 tries to fly as low as possible to be able to actually attack the target, you know, from kind of a below altitude. I would hope that this thing could actually do better than this, because it is actually just, you know, flying kind of high still. But if it would be below this, it would be even better. But you get the point. And let's see. It's actually diving down now. And it will destroy the target. So let's take a look on the times that it took. Oh, very cool, right? But yeah, let's take a look on the times. So the Kh-59 took 1 minute and basically 4 seconds to hit the target, while the Kh-38 took 52 seconds. So is it a massive change from a 20 kilometer mark? Not really, guys, not really. But the Kh-38 is a bit faster because it needs to accelerate to 2.2 Mach, right? It's not going to be flying at that speed all the time, right? So it's something that I think, yes, it is a win for the Kh-38 because of being harder to intercept. But remember, guys, these missiles, they're gonna loft while the Kh-59 tries to fly lower. Another thing that I think goes a little bit more for the Kh-38, it's this, guys. You cannot get a proper vehicle lock at too far distances. What happens here, it is locking on to the ground, as you see, right? So it's not able to lock the actual vehicle, which means that it will not be able to get a proper lock on a moving vehicle, right? So it's, as you can see, pretty problematic. I mean, look at that. Yeah, you gotta be like at 3 kilometers so that the missile can actually get a lock. So I still believe this might be changed. But right now the Kh-59 has one major drawback. It takes a very, it needs to be very close to the target to be able to hit it properly. So to lock to the image of the vehicle, which means if the target is moving, you're gonna miss a lot of these missiles, okay? While, like I said, the Kh-38 will be able to get a proper lock from a further distance over here, as you can see. I mean, this can be done up to 20 kilometers, see? I mean, you're just able to get the crosshair and properly hit a target, which means that from up like to 20 kilometers, you can lock onto a target, and the target, it doesn't matter if it's moving or not, it will go to the target, while the Kh-59 right now in this moment cannot do that, which means that only at up close. It means that it is more of a cruise missile than anything else. So bigger targets, guys, can be locked by the Kh-59, as you see. So it is going to be more of a anti-ship missile than anything else. You know, as you can see, it can be used against tanks, but the Seeker is not the greatest against smaller targets. It is great against bigger targets. And with bigger targets, it means ships, right? So at the end of the day, you gotta think that this missile is more made for anti-ship duties than anything else. As you can see, something along the lines of doing this is the perfect mission profile for a missile such as this, okay? So, are you serious? They touched each other. But you get the point, right? The funny part is that only one of them got destroyed. How did the other one get destroyed? But, so you got the point, right? So, wins and loses, right? The conclusion here, guys, is that it depends on the mission, but in a general perspective, the Kh-59 will be a missile that it is usable, okay? Is it better than the Kh-38? No, it's not. So they probably will add the Kh-59 for the other flankers as well, but I would only use it if you are attacking ships or bigger targets, because the Kh-38 will be easier to use. It will do a flight path that might be a little bit worse on the terms of just flying high, so it's gonna be easier to intercept, but it's so much faster and you can lock from such a far distance that the Kh-59 doesn't have a chance to compare itself. So at the end of the day, yeah, for tank, air-to-ground duties, you know, CAS, Kh-38 is still better. But it's not like the Kh-59 is, I mean, surprise, surprise, right? But it's not like the Kh-59 is as bad as you might think, okay? So, yeah, another comparison video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and see you guys on the next one. Bye. See ya.